The Seattle Seahawks desperately need a win against the Dallas Cowboys on Thursday night, man. Geno Smith, he hasn't looked good for Seattle this year. Now, he hasn't looked bad, but he's been a pretty average at best quarterback. And they got trampled by the 49ers. And they're walking into this game in desperation mode because the Packers are now starting to get hot. The LA Rams are starting to get hot. And if Seattle loses this game and let's say LA or Green Bay win this week, one of those teams could end up taking their playoff spot. And it's not just Geno Smith that has played bad. The whole entire offense hasn't played good. The offensive line has dealt with injuries. They got dominated by the 49ers up front. And when Geno Smith isn't able to get any help from the run game, this is when this offense really struggles the most. And they're going against a Dallas team that's playing their best football of the season. But the one caveat that I have about Dallas coming into this game, and why I'm a little bit skeptical about them being able to pull off the win, is the fact that Dallas hasn't beaten a team with a winning record all season long. And yet Seattle has not looked that hot over the last couple of weeks. They've lost 3 out of their last 4. They still have a pretty talented team. They do have a really good defense. The offense doesn't really do them a lot of favors, but their secondary is really good, and they do got a pretty good front 7. But is this secondary going to be able to limit the amount of big plays that Dallas could potentially generate in the secondary? I'm interested in seeing how the rookie cornerback Devon Witherspoon, who's played at an all-pro level this year, matches up against CeeDee Lamb. You got Tyreek Woolen, who I think kind of has had a little bit of a down year. How is he going to match up against Brandon Cooks? There's a way that Seattle can find a way to win this game if their defense can keep them in it. Dallas doesn't always play their best football against great teams. Are they going to be able to blow out a Seattle team that kind of is a little bit in shambles right now? You see, Geno Smith, last season, he was at his best when Seattle was able to get the run game going and they were able to get the play action passing game going, and that's how he was able to get all those deep throws downfield. We haven't seen that same level of explosiveness. The offensive line hasn't really given him a lot of opportunities to do that, but you're going to need your offensive line to find a way to give Geno Smith time to throw the football and open up running lanes for Zach Charbonnet. This Dallas Cowboys defense, they're not a defense that you want to get into a fight where you have to overly rely on Geno to carry you to a win. Geno Smith hasn't displayed the ability to carry you to wins even last season when he won Comeback Player of the Year. He wasn't carrying Seattle on his back every single game. He's a solid QB, but he's not a good enough quarterback that you can trust to win you a game against a team this good. And with this ball hawking secondary, it's really pivotal that Seattle gets that run game going. Dallas, they need to win this game because right after they play the Philadelphia Eagles. And there's a really good chance that Philadelphia could lose to the 49ers this week. And if that happens, if Dallas wins against Seattle this Thursday and they're able to beat the Philadelphia Eagles, they're in the prime position to be in that conversation for the number 1 seed in the NFC, which is really important for a team like Dallas. To have that first round playoff bye, having a home field advantage throughout the playoffs, and having the locked in spot for the divisional round, that means you're only going to need one more win to make it to the AFC Championship. Dallas winning this game means everything for them in terms of them being able to get the 1 seed and keeping pace with Philadelphia for not just the division title, but also for the number 1 seed in the postseason. Now, of course, they're going to need a little bit of help because the 49ers already thrashed them, but Dallas is still one of the most talented teams in the NFL. You look at who you think probably has the best chance to make it out of the NFC, it's really only 3 teams. The Eagles, the 49ers, and the Cowboys. The Cowboys, with the way that this offense has played and how well Dak Prescott is playing, they should be good enough to be able to get the job done in this game. But this is still a team that's yet to beat a good team. Who's a good team that Dallas has beat this year that has a winning record? I can't name one. Seattle, at least they were able to beat Detroit earlier this season. And they nearly came close to beating the Bengals, but their offensive line let them down. I'm taking the Dallas Cowboys to get the win. Their defensive line is probably going to have their way up front with the Seattle Seahawks offensive line. They're dealing with some injuries. They got Jason Peters starting out there. That dude's like 40, 41 years old. I'm surprised this dude is still in the NFL. That tells you the kind of situation their offensive line is. Well, their offensive line is in. And with how good Dallas' run defense has been, and the fact that they got a ball hawk in secondary, and Geno Smith hasn't been that great with his decision-making this year, I like Dallas to win this game. 31-17 is my final score prediction for this game.